Okay, so I am going to sign. I have to sign into somebody's account that has MLS access, which I always forget. So just bear with me for 1 second. All right, so we're going to go to MLS. We're going to sign in. All right, hang on. A lot of people are still joining. Okay, so I'm going to go slow. All right, so I'm signing in. Ooh, am I staticky for everybody? All right. I may have to call into the conference line. Sorry for the technical difficulties, guys. Ugh, okay, hold on. All right, hang on, everybody. Hold, please. I'm calling in myself to the conference line.
All right, everybody. Can you let me know with your chat window if this is better audio for you, please? All right, good. Okay. Sorry for all these technical difficulties. We're still kind of our new online training system, which I love, but, you know, we all have to be patient. Okay, so first thing I am going to do is sign into MLS. Hopefully. Yep, there we go. All right. So I'm going to go over a couple things today. I am going to go over how to search for things using filters in Dotloop. I'm going to go over permissions, who has permission to see what inside of your loops, so we're all clear about that because it is a little confusing. And you want to be sure that you're not sharing things with people that you don't want to share things with, which is super important. But there's a lot of safety. You don't have to worry too much about that, but I'm going to show you what that looks like. And then the third thing I'm going to go over is how to take one of your own documents and upload it into a loop and make that document interactive, add text, take away text, add signatures, etc. All right, hold on. We have a couple more issues. Hold on. All right, good. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and get started. So signing into MLS, just a review. This is how we're going to get to Dotloop so that you're sure that you're in the account that we've upgraded for you. Go to your Quick Links menu and click on the Dotloop link. If you don't see it in your Quick Links, remember you can customize the Quick Links menu here and add it. I'm going to go ahead and click on Dotloop. Okay, a couple things to check. Again, I'm just reviewing for people who maybe hadn't joined us for the other trainings. Make sure that it says Dotloop Premium up here. And I want you to check to make sure that in your settings, under this icon here, My Account, go to My Settings. Make sure the email address that's associated with your account is the one that you have in MLS that you share with everybody that is your business email. Those are two really important things. So make sure it says Premium, go to your account, the settings under your account, and just double check that your email is correct. If it's not, let me know. Okay, so I actually had a lot of great questions from people this week about loops and finding loops. For some reason, people's filters were not set to the default when they logged into Dotloop, which can make it appear like some of your loops are missing. And it never really occurred to me to point this out to you guys, so it was good. So if you come to your main dashboard here and you see your loops down below, but maybe a loop is missing, or maybe there's no loops here, but you're sure you're in the right account, It's going to be because of your filters. Filters allow you to hide and show different things. So let's say you have hundreds of loops in here. A lot of times you're going to want to filter that view, as you get more familiar with the system and use the loops and have more loops in there. So this allows you to search for things by filters. So if you are missing find anything, you're going to want to go to the filter section in your main dashboard and just see what you have checked and unchecked. And that's going to either show or hide things for you. Search by tags, which we haven't gone over yet, but I will in following trainings. Or you can search by loop statuses. So one of the statuses that was not causing an issue, but filtering the view was archived versus active loops. So any loop that you create is going to, by default, be private and active. We're not changing the statuses of your loops yet because we haven't added the admin piece to Dotloop. So those are going to be the default loop statuses that we're going to be working with for the next several months. The only other status really that I could see you guys assigning to your loops is archived. So if it's a closed deal that you don't need to view anymore, you can't delete loops, you can archive them just to bring them out of your view. So if you log into your main dashboard in Dotloop and you find that you're either missing something, you're seeing some things but not others, go to your filter up here and just double check what's been checked or unchecked. And 9 times out of 10, that's what the problem is going to be. Of course, if you've checked your filters and you still can't find things, let me know. So as we go through this learning process, the more information, the more questions you send my way, the more I'm going to be able to help sort of mold our version of Dotloop to how you guys all use it. So that was a really good one that came up over the last couple of weeks. If you can't find something in your main dashboard, don't panic. Go to your filters first. You can always select Clear All to start fresh and start checking things and going back and checking to see if it shows up or hides. And then if you check things, you want to hit Filter, and then that'll apply that filter. Okay, so that's what I quickly wanted to show you, which was very interesting and very helpful in my opinion. The other thing that I wanted to show you is the notifications flag on the main dashboard. You have a notifications flag inside of each of your loops also to see sort of what the activity is inside of your loops. If you wanted to get a quick general overview of all your loops, if you have more than one transaction going on, from the main dashboard, if you click your notifications flag, it'll show you a summary. If you go to, I'm going to hit View All Activity. His view is just a little bit different. So here is a summary of the latest things that's been going on inside of all of your loops, and you can click View All Activity to also get a quick overview of everything that's going on with your transactions if you wanted to. And again, you can change your date range. So if you see nothing under activity, change your date range. It's another way to filter information. So let's see, we'll do last 30 days just for fun. So this is all the loops. If you click that notification flag on the main dashboard, it will give you an overview of everything that's been going on in all of your loops. And again, you have that same notification flag inside of your loops, and that will be specific to that loop, all the notifications. Okay, so that's filters, that's notifications in the main dashboard. Let's go to, let me find a loop here. Let's go to permissions, just a quick overview of permissions inside of your loops so that everybody is clear about who can see what inside of the loop. And again, I can't stress this enough, the absolute best way to see how other people are going to have access to your loops is to create a practice loop and to share documents and add people to loops, outside of you. So do it with somebody else who has a different email address and assign them roles and assign them documents to sign so you can see what they can see on the other side. All right, so I want to show you down here. So we've added a bunch of people to this loop. We've assigned them roles within the loop. This does not give them access to everything inside of the loop. what the people portion of your loop does is gives them the ability to interact with individual documents within your loop. And there's another fail-safe on the other side. They still can't interact with documents until you tell Dotloop that they're allowed to interact with documents, and that happens when you share the document. So just because you've added people to the loop and assigned them these roles does not mean that they have access to everything inside of your loop, which I thought was another good question because right here it kind of looks like they do. The only way that they will have full access to a loop is if you add them as on my team. So when we went over that very, very briefly, I think in the second training, that's why I said be very, very cautious about who you add to the loop and check, yes, they are on my team when you're adding a person to the loop. Let me see if I can show you quickly again right here. So if you want to give somebody absolute full access to your loop, meaning they can see the loop, they can see the people in the loop, they can see the documents that you've added to the loop and haven't shared, you would add them to your team. And again, I think maybe the only example I can think of is somebody in success that you're working on with, if you actually had a team that you're working with. I would be very cautious about adding anybody else to the team, to your team. So that's the only way that they're going to have complete, full access to your loop. All right. There are other ways to give them access to documents, and that's the sharing process. So when you share a document inside the loop, I'm just going to show you quickly. So here's the permission that they have to that document. So you've added them to the loop and assigned them a role. The role will populate their signature into the documents that they need to sign. That's what that role does. It doesn't give them access to the loop. And then again, once you share that document, Dotloop says, okay, I'm about to give this person, these people, access to this document. What kind of access do you want to give them? So just be aware of what these different roles do. So here we have view only. That means Lisa can see this document that I've shared with her, but she can't do anything to it. She can't change it. She can't write on it. She can't do anything except view it. There's other permissions for this individual document that I'm sharing. You can give them signing permission. The only way that they can sign a document is if their role actually has a signature field, meaning if Lisa was the buyer and there's a buyer signature field and you give her signing permission, then she can sign the document. Fill and sign would be an example of sharing this document with the listing agent. If this is a buying loop and you share this document with a listing agent, they can fill out the document and they can sign the document. Oh, Cody has a question. So if they need to sign it, hold on. Let me read that again. If they need to sign it, you have to change default to view. No, it doesn't default to view only. You actually have to give them, there's no permission at all when you're adding the person for the first time to the document and then sharing it with them. You assign them what permission they have. Dotloop will ask you, all right, you're sharing it with them. What permission do you want to give them? This was already set up because this was a previous example, and I'm just showing you. Okay, good. That was a good question. Okay, so again, adding people to the loop does not give them access to your loop. It gives them the opportunity to play and interact with documents that you share with them and then give them permission. So there's like a two-step fail-safe here. And I think, visually for me, I needed to see that. So I think that's a great idea for you guys. Create a loop, a test loop, share it with somebody outside the loop, change those permissions, and see what it looks like on the other side. You can't share it with yourself. You won't get the idea because you're the owner of this account. You have to share it with somebody who has a different email address. So if there isn't any questions about permissions and sharing, I'm going to move on to uploading your own documents. All right, I don't see any other questions coming in. I'm going to use this test street loop as an example. We've gone over creating loops twice and adding, documents and people. I'm certainly happy to go over it again with you individually, but I definitely recommend watching the 2 recorded videos and going over that as well. All right, so the next thing I'm going to show you is how to take a document from your computer load it up into your loop, and then make that document interactive. So here's our loop already started. I'm going to go down to Add a Document. It's going to say, where do you want to add it from? I'm going to add it from Computer. Hopefully I have a good example. Of course, I should have set this up in the beginning. I'm going to browse for a PDF. So it has to be a PDF. Let's see. Why don't we use, just for fun, I will use Marketing Insert. This is not exactly a form, but I'll be able to show you what it looks like anyway. All right, so this is a PDF I searched for on my computer. I'm going to hit Open. And it's going to, sorry guys, upload it. There we go. So I have a slow internet connection here, so it might take a second or two. 56, 60, sorry, guys. So if you have a document, just make sure you PDF it first. Save it on your desktop or whatever, wherever you want to save it. Browse for it. Do Add From Computer, browse for it, and then it will upload it into your loop. And it says Not Shared. I haven't shared it with anybody. I'm going to go ahead and open it, and I'm going to show you how to make this interactive with the people inside of your loop. So pretend this is a form of some sort, or it could be an agreement that you draw up, a communication policy that you want your clients to sign. Use your imagination. It can be anything at all that you want to have your clients interact with, or anybody else inside the loop. Okay, so here's our PDF. I just clicked on it to open it. Let me find a good spot to use as an example. All right, let's just pretend this is your communication policy, this section right here. And you want to make sure that your client read the communication policy, and the way you're going to do that is by saying, I'm going to send you this document. I want you to review it. At the end of the document, I want you to sign it so that I know that you've reviewed it. So there's a couple things that you can do. You can add a signature. So if I click up here just once, it's going to let me drop a signature wherever I want. So I'm going to add it to the bottom of this page just for fun. Again, you can add it anywhere. So as you can see, you're going to make this document interactive. I put a signature field here, but Dotloop is saying, hey, who's going to sign here? So I'm inside the loop, and here are all of my people inside of my loop. So you can pick somebody. So let's say Lisa Earle is the buyer. This is a buying loop. So I'm going to go ahead and say Lisa needs to sign that. So it's going to say, Lisa, sign here. If nobody was in the loop, it would have default roles up here. Buyer, seller, listing agent, you, whoever. Or you could go from the role thing, the role drop-down right here, and say, oh, maybe I want the inspector to sign it, or maybe I want the attorney to sign it. You can assign signature fields on documents that you upload to anybody you want within the transaction. So this is where roles become a really important thing inside of your transaction. So we'll actually change that to buyer just so you can see what that looks like. Or anyone inside the transaction, if you wanted everybody and their brother to sign, we'll sign. Oops, sorry, I'm having. Okay, buyer. So that's what it'll look like if the buyer needs to sign it. There's no buyer in this loop. That was a bad example. You know what, let me hit save, and I'm going to make Lisa the buyer, and we're going to use her as the example. Nope, don't want to share that. Bear with me. Okay, let's go down to people, and just for example, so everybody can see, we're going to change her to the buyer. We're not. We'll do seller. Jimmy Pierce is the seller. We'll go back to the document. I'm going to make sure that my seller reads this marketing piece, and I want them to sign that page. All right, so we go down to the section that we want them to sign. We added the signature. There it is. I'm going to change the role of the signature field. I'm going to assign it to the seller. So that's the seller in this transaction. Let's say there's another page that maybe they don't need to sign, but I want to make sure that they didn't miss this great little clue right here, this one line. I want to make sure they read this line. So I'm going to add an initials field because I want to make sure that they initial that they've read it. So from this More menu, you can add a whole plethora of other things, so any document that you upload. So here's an initial field. It's going to drop. I can put it anywhere I want. I want to make sure they read this line. There you go. Who's going to sign it? I'm going to assign this initial field to Jimmy Pierce because he's the seller. So I want to make sure that he signs or it initializes right there. So those are two ways to add signatures and initials to a PDF that you upload. You can insert them anywhere inside the document. You can also add some text to a document that you upload. So right here, there's the add text. I can drop any kind of text that I want inside the document. Just click, and then you want to make this text box bigger. So you actually mouse over it, drag that arrow, and resize the text box. So I can add, so let's say it's a marketing piece, which is a good example, from our intranet, and it's not branded to you. Now you can brand it to yourself. Obviously, you can type whatever you want in here. Oh boy. Please contact me if you have any questions. Whatever you want to write inside of any PDF that you upload. Okay, so now you've customized something with text that you uploaded into Dotloop. All right, so we added an initial field, we added a signature field, we assigned who we wanted to sign and initial those fields. Now we just added text. Let's say you added text to a document that you uploaded, but you want to get rid of it. So when you actually mouse over it, you see there's a bunch of different things that you can do. You can move it around, you can make it bigger, you can make it smaller, you can also delete it. So here is, once I click on it, if I go right here, I can remove the field. And that's true with any field that you add, text, signature, anything that you want. So if I X out of that, it removes the text that I've added to the document. So you can have a lot of fun with this. So even, let's say it is a marketing piece again, another example, and you wanted to change the text here. You could actually do add text, put your text box right over here, mouse over it, click and drag, slow internet, sorry, and change the text to say anything that you want. And just cover up the old text. There's all kinds of fun things that you can do with uploading your own document. All right, so you can change the kind of text it is, the size it is, the alignment. You can make it bold, just like in Word. You can do anything you want in your text box. You can add additional text. You can add a text box over existing text to change it. I'll just show you quickly what it looks like. Obviously, you can do whatever you want. All right, so there's your text box. All right, and you can play around with all of these things. You can highlight stuff, underline, add a clauses. We haven't gotten to that part yet. Change the transparency so you can actually make it see-through, which you wouldn't do if you were trying to hide text. So that's making it not see-through. That's making it see-through. Okay. There's other things that you can do in documents that you upload. You can do, I don't know why you would want to do it, but you could add check boxes, radios. You can do strike-throughs. So let's say you just wanted to strike through some information. I click and drag and X out something that you don't want said in the document that you uploaded. You can actually use strike-throughs in the MAR forms. That's the one feature that it does have. Any of the MAR forms, you can't add text, you can't add signatures. A MAR form is a MAR form. MAR has already decided the permissions. You can strike through, though. What else is fun in here? You can do autofill information from the information you already put into your loops. That's kind of a fun thing to play around with. So for instance, if you wanted to add a property address field that you already put in your loop details, or a commission structure field that you already put into your loop details, those are the autofill from loop details fields that you can add to your document. If this was something that you were going to reuse over and over again, and you assign the signature fields to buyer, seller, whoever, whatever that generic role is within loop, you could save this as a template and reuse it inside another loop and another transaction that maybe another seller needed to use. So this is all good stuff to play around with documents that you upload from your computer. So again, one thing that you want to be sure to do, even in this section where you're not necessarily interacting with a MAR form, instead of doing save and share, especially when you're doing this the first time around, editing one of your own documents and making it interactive, make sure that you hit the save button before you share it, and triple check that you've done everything the way that you want it to work. So hit save, go back to loop. No, I don't want to share it. God, terribly slow internet. Okay, so here's the marketing insert PDF that we just uploaded and made interactive. Is there any questions about what I just showed you that you want me to show you an example of? You can use your chat bubble up here and go ahead and ask me a question. I can show you how to do something. But that's actually a really fun thing to use in Dotloop. So you can go to our intranet and check out all of the marketing in there, and you could upload it into your loop and share it with your customers, and you can customize it to you. You can change the text. You can put your contact information in there. That's a really good way to reuse some of the marketing pieces. Or like I said, if you had a standard communication policy that you print and bring and have your clients sign, you can upload it into Dotloop. Insert your signature fields where you have them sign it. Put it in the loop, share it with them, then there's no doubt that they got that communication policy and everybody's clear and you have a record of it. It's just a million things that you can do with that feature. If there's no questions, then this was a really quick demo today, and you guys must be getting the hang of this because there's no questions, and you're all doing great with Dotloop. I can answer questions of anything else that came up over the week, too, since we've done our last training. I'm happy to do that. Just go ahead and chat with me. Otherwise, the feedback that I'm getting is that people are kind of catching on and using Dotloop. All right, hold on. The question is there a consistent font or style that we want to use for customization text? No, definitely play around with it. If it's on your document that you're uploading, you can make it anything you want. You can't change any of that in a MAR form. MAR decided what the standard text should be. So for any real estate transaction forms that you're using from them, you won't be able to change that. But anything that you upload and want to add text to, it's totally up to you. The sky's the limit, however you want it to be. That was a good question, though. Any other questions? The other thing that I want you to remember is that as you use the system, please send me your questions via email. It's a great way for me to track any issues that come up. Maybe something isn't working the way it needs to work, or maybe you guys have great ideas about how things should work, and I can adjust that. Okay, here's another question. There's a bunch of questions. Hold on a second. I'm looking at Susan Garwood's. An attorney prepares a PNS and we want to upload for signatures. Do we drag the signature boxes to the PNS? Yes, you would. If you want to digitally sign a PNS that another attorney prepared for you, you would do exactly the same process that we just did. You would have it saved someplace on your computer. You would create your loop. You would add your people. You would then add your documents and add from computer, just like we did, right? Add from computer, browse for that PNS, let it upload inside of your loop like we did with this marketing insert, open it up, go all the way down to wherever the signature fields are, drag and drop a signature field in there, and assign a role to that signature field so that somebody who's in the loop, who is the buyer or seller, whoever needs to sign that, assign that role to that signature field, and that will let you share it with that person inside of that loop. There's another question. Hold on, I'm just going to read this. Okay, so no. Okay, so the question is that Andrea did a release. She added her buyer to sign and added the list only to view only. And her question was she thought she'd get it after the buyer signed it. It does automatically go to the person that has the view only once you've shared it with them. So you actually have to go to that document and share it with the view only person, which sounds like you did, Andrea. They would get a notification and it would say, Andrea has shared a document with you to view only. That's exactly what it would say. But there's no order of things. So, for instance, there's no rule that says after the buyer signs this document, then the listing agent will get a notification to view only. There's no rules set up like that. Once you share it with them and assign them permission, they all get that sent out right away. Does that answer your question, Andrea? I hope it did. There is no adding of rules. Nope. Can you add the rule that after somebody signs something, it then gets sent? Nope. Once you share it, it shares it with them. So what I would suggest is have your buyer sign it and then share it with somebody who's view only after it comes back to you. And you can set up notifications inside of your loop so that when the buyer does sign it, you get notified, so then you know to share it with somebody else. Scroll up to, okay, Rick had a question that I missed. Sorry, Rick. There we go. Where did it go? Hold on, Rick. Looking at okay. When we are the listing agent and are required. Okay. That's a good question, Rick. So what we've done for short sheets, if you're a listing agent fully using the Dotloop program and you created a listing loop and you need a purchase and sale completed, the short sheet is inside of the listing package automatically. So what we've asked you to do as agents, I'll use those, that's a good example. So I'm going to create a listing loop with the short sheet that's already in it, and I'm going to show you how that works. So we'll create another loop. We'll name our loop. All right, so we're creating a loop. Now this is an example that I'm showing you right off the bat for fully on board Dotloop user. This is not somebody who's just filling out forms. This is somebody who is fully on board with using Dotloop. So you're going to add your people. I'm not going to show you that example right now. That's the process. You create your loop, you name your loop, you add your people, then you add your documents. Let's pretend we already added the people. We're going to add our documents from templates, hoping this all looks familiar to everybody. And because it's a listing loop, we're going to add the listing package. I'm going to select all, and I'm going to add the documents to my loop. Okay, so here's the short sheet. So if you have created your loop and you want the staff to create your purchase and sale, and you're a full-on Dotloop user, you're going to do exactly what I did, and you're going to fill out this short sheet. You're not going to share it with anybody. You have to remember in the back of your head, staff is admin. It's already shared with us. We're already on your team. We already have access to everything inside your loop. Not that we're looking, not that we're monitoring anything at this point. But for short sheets and for P&Ss, you can just simply fill it out, be done with it, click Save at the top, right? So let me just, right, your name, the dates, all the traditional short sheet stuff. Hit Save. You don't have to hit Save and Share. Just hit Save. Send an email or make a phone call to staff saying, hey, I would like you to create my purchase and sale. My loop is already created, and I filled out the short sheet that is inside of the loop so that you can fill out my P&S. There's no need to share anything. There's no need to do anything other than create that loop, put the listing docs in there for the listing. Does that make sense? I hope. Good. All right, so there's no questions. So, one other thing to remember, I think I sent this out in an email, the staff admin is always on your team. You don't need to share anything with us. Anything that's inside of your loops that's filled out, we have access to if we needed it, and the only thing they would need is really your short sheet right now. All right. Any other questions about anything else that you came up with over this last couple of weeks using Dotloop? All right. Oh, thank you. Thank you, everybody, for joining me online. I love this. I think it's great. And again, if you have any questions or any issues at all, just send me an email. It's always the best way, and I can track all of your questions and issues that way too. I can keep a record of all of that. All right, guys, have a great day. Thank you. Goodbye.